the men's basketball team on Friday night at Pinnacle Bank Arena. It's fans for the first time in a couple of years, which is great. Coach Williams and players Sam Haiby and Isabel Orr will appear on Thursday in Indianapolis at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the Big Ten Basketball Media Day, alongside the men's program as well. And then the Huskers open their the Huskers open exhibition play on November 1st against Midland University. Sam Haiby will be up here at about 11:30 today to do individual interviews if anybody's interested. She will not go up front at that time. Coach Williams, would you like to make an opening statement? Welcome.
Okay. What a fabulous Monday to be here with you guys. So thanks for coming out and just coming off just a really special weekend in Lincoln. We were just really honored to be able to be at the Hall of Fame enshrinement where two of the three retired jerseys in Nebraska women's basketball were honored. Mortice Ivy in the 2020 class and Kelsey Griffin in the 2021 class. So just really inspiring weekend for our current athletes to watch as those two special champions were enshrined into Nebraska's Hall of Fame. Just a fun weekend of celebrating them. And then back Friday, I just can't even put into words how awesome it was for our team. 13 of which have never played in front of Husker Nation, and to be out there with 6,800 or whatever it was fans in Pinnacle Bank Arena just was really fun for us and enjoyable. And then a great big recruiting weekend for a lot of sports. I know men's and women's basketball for sure, and I'm sure football, softball, lots of sports on campus, and to be in town to watch Coach Frost and his crew do what they did on Saturday, and just a really fun night football game, and just a great weekend in Lincoln. And I'm excited to be here Monday morning to visit with you guys about our upcoming season.
Say, Coach, you have 3 Australian players now on the team. How do that style of play from Australia come and kind of complement your team, and what kind of mentality or characteristics do they bring from Australia?
Yeah, and each one of our Australians kind of has their own unique style of play and what they bring to our team. But I would say overall, in general, they're very high IQ basketball players, the 3 that we have in our program. So that is just a treat as a head coach, because it's young ladies that really transition easily to whatever type of system we want to run with the particular team. They learn quickly, they pick things up quickly, they play together with their team easily and quickly. So I would say, that's the biggest thing that those 3 Australians are bringing collectively as a whole.
What do you like about those freshmen now after you've had 3 or 4 months to work with them?
Well, they are personality galore, so you maybe got a little taste of that on Friday night when I gave the mic to Alexis Markowski. The whole crew of freshmen, they just have all kinds of personality, and they bring energy, and they want to compete. And so we've been doing book studies with each class of kids, kind of different book, and the freshmen and I have studied the energy bus, and it's something that we've really stressed with them, is just their role of really needing to bring energy and be a spark for our program all year, and I think they've really bought into that. I've been very pleased at the way they've transitioned into the college game, and it's just exciting things in store for that group.
Maybe the beginning of the season always has some questions, but what do you feel most confident? What do you know you have in this team?
Well, the one thing I know I have is that they're going to compete, and they're fighters, and we have not had to beg or ask for them to go hard in practice, and so that's something that is really a step ahead and something that we're going to lean heavily on. And that allows us to be able to really focus in on just more tactical things and getting better offensively and getting better defensively. And so I love the fact that they compete and go hard. You know, one thing we have kind of adopted over the summer as kind of a motto was compete and connect. And we know there's going to be a lot of competition in practice, and there has been. And they've really embraced that and gone with it. And they've been able to really sharpen each other up with that competition and you know, then stay connected off the court.
How are you expecting your defense and mentality to change without being able to funnel towards KK?
Yeah, I know Kate's been a staple for us and the all-time leading shot blocker in our program, and it's tough to, you know, adjust after that. But I think the biggest thing we've been trying to do is just be a little more aggressive on the perimeter and try to force more turnovers, get a little bit more aggressive with our ball pressure, and we've been working hard to mix some things up defensively in the post, and instead of just having Kate, who's kind of always there behind to block shots, we've been working to try to front a little bit and do a little bit more to mix things up in the defensive post.
Caleb Moriarty, a defensive stopper. Did she have that ability early?
She does have that ability. She's a really special defender. She's a long athlete. She's committed to playing in a defensive stance, and we're really excited as she kind of learns the system and how to play off the ball a little bit more, that she could be a pretty special defender for us.
Do you have enough offense just around all of your other players? You can afford to put a player on the floor that doesn't have to score, that they can just take the best player on the other team and defend.
I mean, I think at times, Sam, yes, is that, you know, we're going to have some kids out there that we feel confident can put the ball in the basket. And so now it's about, you know, finding that balance and making sure that we're, you know, committed on both sides. And really right now, that's the biggest thing we're trying to encourage is, you know, is the players that really are going to be able to commit to playing on both sides of the ball are the ones that, you know, that really will rise to the top.
Amy, how have you seen Sam Haiby improve her game over the course of the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, Sam, I think the biggest thing that I've been watching is just her leadership and continuing to grow in that area. You know, she was a little miffed last year because I challenged her to be our leading rebounder, and Bella and Izzy both just barely notched her in that area. So every day she's coming to practice just with a competitive juice about her, wanting to try to surpass those two. It's kind of a healthy competition that we have amongst the team. And I think the biggest thing is, you know, 1 year ago she made huge strides because she really knew that even if she wasn't scoring points for our team, that she could help our team in so many ways, just handling the ball with pressure. She had to get us into offense. She really created a lot of offense for other people on our team and rebounded and defended. And I think, you know, the next step that we're going to see in Sam is just that commitment to really being a lockdown defender and doing that on every possession.
Is Sam going to be point guard a little bit again, like she was before, or do you have a specific point guard?
You know, we're fortunate right now where we have a lot of kids that we feel comfortable are capable of playing that point guard position. We've seen her quite a bit so far in practice be able to play alongside Jaz Shelley, and Jaz Shelley is a natural point guard as well. And Allison Widener, a point guard that's coming in here, that's really been competitive and found ways to impact things in practice. And so I think that's a treat for Sam because we know that she's got experience and can play at that point guard position. If she can get the ball in the open court and really take it, that's where she's special and makes a lot of things happen for our team. So we're most certainly not going to take the ball out of her hands, but in certain situations and circumstances, set plays, things where we would like to be able to, we've got some other kids that can run the point position and do that really confidently. So it provides Sam an opportunity to really kind of go back and forth and for us to have multiple point guards on the court at the same time.
What sense of ownership have you seen from Alexis for being an in-state kid, an in-town kid, daughter is somebody who played here. How important do you feel like it is to her?
It's very important to her, and we just finished up last week individual meetings with each one of our players to kind of just talk through their purpose on the team, and maybe one of my favorite individual meetings of all time was with Alexis Markowski, as she sat in my office and at least 15 times in that meeting said, "I just want to win," and I really she means it. She is a very competitive young lady, and she wants to do whatever she can do to help our team win. And it doesn't matter if it's in a rebounding drill in practice or if it's going to be against Maryland in Big Ten play. And she wants to win, and that's a great characteristic to be bringing into our program.
From a recruiting perspective, what's it like to be able to partner with the men's basketball program with, the thing on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, it's just huge. It's just huge. I think I'm a firm believer that the rising tide raises all ships, and certainly something where when we can partner together like that and have kind of both fan bases excited about the programs and just a really special, we're really close with them. Our programs are, our athletes are, our coaching staffs are. We office right next to each other. We bounce a lot of ideas off each other, and so to be able to kind of partner in that way, it's huge for our just continued kind of camaraderie amongst those programs and student athletes, but also the recruits that get to come in and experience an event like this past Friday night.
Amy, what did you think about the pregame introductions for your team? Did you have a favorite, maybe?
I thought that we had several that were in their element. So just definitely kind of taking it and running with it, and it's fun to see them to be able to have fans to do that for.
We started talking team goals. Amy, what are you guys chasing this year?
Yeah, we really are at the point where our number one team goal is just to continue to compete. And right now, that's kind of where we're focused. I think with this particular team, we've set some individual goals for each individual player and athlete. And as we start to get closer into that preseason, we'll start to identify team goals. But right now, it's just to compete and continue to be the most competitive team on the court.
Does Jaz give you something that you didn't have last season?
Yeah, Jaz is a special player, and she most definitely brings something that we have not had. She's just a true point guard with great vision. She makes everybody else around her better. She's a fantastic scorer and shooter, and the experience that she's gained just with all of the international experience that she's had before, everything, even just this past weekend winning a bronze medal in the Asia Cup finals with the Opals, just she's got a confidence and a composure about her, the way she plays the game, and it's something that already is affecting our team.
Anything else? Okay.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you all.
right, players, let's march away. For questions? For one second.
That first play, Phil, to just sort of, jolt the offense like that, and tell us what you saw on it. You made a great adjustment on it.
Yeah, it felt really good. It was something that we planned probably a few days before the game, so it was something that I could think about. I knew we were taking a shot first play, got my mind right for it. As far as what I saw, I just tried to beat the DBs, run as fast as I can, get down the field, and I saw the ball in the air. And the safety was a little too deep. He thought he had a play on it, and I don't think he saw me, so just try to get in front of him and make a play.
What kind of impact does that have on you guys mentally when you hit a big play like that right off the top?
Oh yeah, that's definitely something that has a good impact on us. Gets the momentum going at home, gets the crowd going, so all around a good play.
What was the mood like coming back after a win like that, and then getting ready now for another big game?
It was obviously really good. Everyone was in super high spirits. It's always good to get a win like that, in front of the home crowd, especially after a really good week of practice. And with the big game next week, it was all good spirits after the game.
What kind of energy or jolt did you guys get from playing at night, at home, and just the atmosphere out there on Saturday?
Yeah, the atmosphere was huge, and I think that's something that gave us, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, allowed us to go out there and just play loose and have fun.
You played in important FCS games, but is Nebraska-Michigan, a game like this, sort of why you want to come here?
Yeah, exactly. You hit it right on the head. Games like this are the reason that I came here. Big games, like this game, the Oklahoma game, Michigan State, all games like that. Big Ten is such a competitive conference, so there's a lot of games like that throughout the year.
How have you seen Xavier grow? I know you've been helping those young guys along too while you've been here. What have you seen out of him in the time that you've been around the program?
Yeah, Xavier's came a long way since I got here. Ever since spring ball, he's made constant improvement. He's really improved his just overall approach to the game, as well as his practice habits and learning the offense. In all those categories, he's come a long way, and he's only gonna get better.
What does having Oliver back in the mix do for the receiving group, and how you can move the pieces around?
Oh, it just gives us more depth, and Oliver's a really explosive player. You guys all saw that in week 0 against Illinois. You saw how much of a threat he can be, and we're really excited to have him back. I think it just opens up our offense even more.
What kind of challenge is Michigan's defense going to present? You've seen some good teams, but obviously this might be the best defense you've faced.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be the best defense that we played. They're really fast, they're really physical, and really fundamentally sound. So we definitely got to come to work ready to go on Saturday.
Will they press you guys up? How will they play the receivers from what you've seen?
They mix it up a little bit. They've definitely showed more press and man on third downs. So that's something that we can look forward to. But other than that, they like to mix it up a lot on defense.
You played on some good teams in your college career. How do you handle success after you pull a team out and you come back the next week? How do you sort of ride that wave, but then also not, get complacent?
I feel like, when you have success, you got to look back and see how you got there, how you achieved it. And I think with us, we had one of the best weeks of practice we had all year. And I think that's something that showed us, okay, we got to practice like this every week if we want to be successful. That was the main thing people, were saying after the game is, hey, we got to have a good week of practice because we had a good week of practice this week and we went out and we balled out. So we just got to make sure to uphold that same standard throughout the rest of the season.
Last week as a team leader, did you have any concern about an emotional letdown after the loss in East Lansing?
No, I think we have a team here who is really good about fleshing, whether it's a win or a loss, you learn from it and you move on from it. And I think this team is really good at that. We knew we should have won that game at Michigan State. And, it would have been different if we got blown out, or something like that. But, we saw the success that we did have, and we saw the things that we could have done better. And all we can do is improve on those things and get better moving on.
When you say that last week's practices were the best you've seen this year, what separates them? What makes them the best?
I think we were just executing more in practice. We were playing fast. We were playing physical, and we cut down the mental errors a lot. And I just think stuff like that is how you win games, you know. And we just got to continue to do that.
So Maury, what was the feel like, the vibe among the offensive players as you guys as things started to come a little easier for you guys? I mean, 56 points was pretty notable, and 600 yards. So how did that feel for the offensive guys as that game went on?
It felt really good, and it just, you know, gave us a lot of confidence and, you know, allowed guys to, like I said, play loose, not think too much, you know. That's one thing that we've worked on is being more mentally tough as an offense. You know, can't be having, you know, dumb penalties or just dumb assignment errors, and that's something that I think we fixed on Saturday. And you know, it seemed like every time we took the field, we either scored or at least got a few first downs and got the ball moving. So that's something that's obviously really good for an offense, and we want to keep doing that.
I know this is obviously the first year you've played here, but your offense is creating big plays at a much higher rate than the past couple of years. I guess just from your perspective, what has gone into, you know, allowing you to rip off so many big chunks?
Well, I think, you know, as far as our offense goes, we have a lot of playmakers, you know, all around skill position, you know, on offense. We got the number one playmaker in the Big Ten, in my opinion, at quarterback with Adrian, who always makes something happen. You know, we got big play receivers, and we got some running backs that can get it done too. So just having weapons like that and having the ability to take shots downfield is something that's really important for an offense.
You might have touched on this in weeks past, but receivers running to the backfield and running the option, is that something that takes a while to get used to, or did it come pretty naturally to you personally?
I guess it took a little bit to get used to, I guess, in spring ball, you know, because it's not something that I've done, you know, in my past. But I think I caught on with it pretty quick. The coaches were really good about teaching me that role, and I think by the time fall camp came, I was comfortable with it. And you know, like you've seen, a lot of the other receivers have been doing it too. So yeah, I think it's just something that makes our offense, you know, more versatile.
You talked about playing loose a couple minutes ago. Is that easier to do at home, or you guys are obviously more comfortable when you're around here? What role does that play in how loose or not loose you guys are?
Yeah, I would say it's easier, I guess, to play loose at home. You know, especially for, you know, some of the young guys who haven't had those big games, you know, big away games. But you just got to be able to play loose all the time. You know, no matter where you at, you got to, you know, be able to kind of turn down the noise, but, you know, to each is their own. So that's just something we got to work on as an offense.
Why is that the case? I mean, noise is noise. It's loud either way. Obviously, one instance the crowd is behind you, but why is that? Why is it easier?
Well, I mean, when we're at home and we're on offense, it's not very loud. Because they know to be quiet. When we're playing away games, they're going to be as loud as possible, which makes it hard to hear the snap count and whatnot. So.
Anything else for Spark? Thank you, guys.
Adrian, I think the first time we saw that triple option, you guys were pitching it to Samari against Illinois. From that play until, I don't know, maybe Xavier's play, how much better have you guys gotten at just executing what you want to do?
Yeah, in regards to the option game, yeah, well, it's something we've been actively practicing, but it's definitely one of those concepts that you just need reps and reps and reps and reps. And we do it every day at practice. We continue to work on it, and you know, you see some of that chemistry paying off.
You've had to pitch, I think, to like 8 guys, which is rare. Like a lot of times with the old option, they might pitch to 3 or 4 right backs. Has it been a work in progress, having to learn the speed and the tempo of each guy you're pitching to?
That's interesting. I think there's a standard that we have each of those guys try and be a certain a distance away from me and timing, because for me, it can't differentiate that way. It's got to be the same. They got to be in the right spot and either keep up. And that's why those reps are so crucial with all those guys, and we get those.
Adrian, what do you remember about that 2018 game against Michigan, and how different were the teams physically then?
Yeah, well, I remember us getting smacked. You know, it was a rough game for myself, rough game for the team. I know I only played a half of football. Yeah, different teams. We're in a much different spot as a program, as a unit, both sides of the ball here. And, yeah, we were physically outmatched.
Where do you feel like that disparity is maybe different, or could be different this time?
Well, our program, our team, we're in a different spot. Physically better. I mean, I feel very confident in the guys that we have, and I mean, just top down.
Adrian, after that win the other night, a lot of people excited. Is the air of positivity around the program as high as it's been since you've been here right now?
It's hard to put a definitive stamp on it, but I know the guys right now are really confident in where we're at, the type of team we have, and to an extent, I believe we've earned that. You know, we have a lot of trust in each other, and we've worked really hard and know the things we're capable of as a team. So excited. We got a lot of good teams on the schedule left.
You get that feeling though from being outside the team element, just on the street or just being around.
Yeah, I would say that feeling I felt in the stadium on Memorial, I don't know if I've felt that ever in my time here. It was a great surge of energy. The team, I think the fans really approved and were excited about what they saw on the field from us. And we, ooze confidence as well on the sideline. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say walking about a little bit, it's felt really nice.
What kind of trust do you feel right now in that combination of linemen that were in front of you Saturday?
Yeah, like I've said before, I feel really confident in Coach Austin and his ability to get those guys ready. They've been working their tails off, and they have work to do like we all do. They're continuing to gain everyone's trust, but Saturday was a great step, and obviously today's practice was as well.
Coach Frost mentioned that, I think he was specifically talking about Teddy, but Teddy and Nuri both, how the moment was not too big for them. They didn't have any kind of panic. What did you see? You're closer to them in the game action. What did you see from those two guys, as the intensity started to ramp up on the field?
Yeah, I'd echo Coach G. A lot of composure from those two guys who, again, put in a ton of work during the week, and that's where it counts. You win the game Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? So they did that for us, and they're continuing to do that now. A lot of confidence in them, and they stepped up to the plate.
Did you see that from Teddy early on, right away? I mean, it's a tough assignment to be a true freshman and playing left tackle in the Big Ten.
Definitely. But if we didn't think he was capable, he wouldn't be doing that. So a lot of confidence in him, and I have all the confidence in him myself.
Hey, Adrian, you have kind of told us that you're a student of the game and the history of college football. Harbaugh and Frost are obviously going to be a pretty good storyline for this game. I know that they've had their teams play already in 18, but that was only 3 or 4 games into the Frost era. Kind of the parallels of both those guys being at their alma maters. Can you just kind of give me your take, kind of size up the matchup of these two coaches and kind of what the air is around that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can see all the potential storylines there for sure. They're both former quarterbacks, guys who played in the NFL, alma mater, respected in their industry, and yeah, they're somewhat tenured here. Frost has been here for more than a couple of years, and Harbaugh as well at Michigan. So it's a big game for both of us. I know they're trying to continue to build momentum, but so are we. Coming to our place, I know it'll be an exciting game, big game for both programs.
Adrian, what have you seen out of Michigan's defense? They've put up some pretty good numbers this year.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, they put out some good numbers. They're a really good unit, fast, physical, and they're going to bring it. I know that's something they pride themselves on, and we're ready for the challenge.
The rest of you gained in Xavier. just in how he's, changed himself from last year to this year and where he's going.
Yeah, I think I had mentioned something maybe before the season had even started about Betts and just the type of potential he has. And I think he's realizing that himself and really just putting in the work and continuing to build trust with his teammates and build with us, the quarterbacks. A lot of faith in him. He's a stud, and he's only going to continue to get better.
He was really honest with us at one point, I think it was in camp, about how he didn't have quite the spring he wanted for himself, and he challenged himself. And did you see right away, like in early August, like, okay, he came back with sort of a different mindset?
Yeah, he has a high standard for himself, which is always good to see in a young player, and he's continuing to build on that. It seems like he's not satisfied with any of the success he's had so far, and neither are we. We know what he's capable of, and it's much more.
Questions?
Kind of asking Adrian just about the atmosphere around the program right now, and kind of what's your take? Is this about as positive as it's been around here since you've been here?
No, most definitely has been, especially with this game coming up. We got momentum after last game. We did what we were supposed to do, and practice was great today. Just to start the week off, that's the way we should start it. Coming after that win, we shouldn't, die back down and, restart. We should keep that momentum going and get ready for this weekend because it is a big game.
How much do you think home field advantage is worth in college football? You've been around it. Last year was tough with nobody in the stands, but how big a boost do you get like in night games here, with the crowd and the environment and stuff?
It's different, you can say, especially playing at Nebraska. It's not like anywhere else, honestly. I've visited many places before, throughout the recruitment and everything else, but there's no place like Nebraska, especially night games. And, when you get a packed stadium every game, bro, that's unreal.
Cam, how far has this team come physically from the last time you guys played Michigan?
A long way. I don't know if you guys remember, but back when we played in my freshman year, one of the linebackers, spoke out about our team and said we weren't prepared. And we have to come prepared this time. We don't need any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Come out and play your best football, and we are more physical than we've ever been, offense and defense. We have wide receivers blocking downfield, for Adrian or any of our running backs, just finishing plays. We have people flying from sideline to sideline on defense, so it's looking great.
You talk about being more physical. Is it the mindset in addition to just kind of being bigger and stronger and that sort of thing?
Almost definitely. We always had, Coach Duval, working us out in things. But as far as the mentality, I believe that's the biggest thing. Just everybody, putting their heads together and working together. That's what I mean as far as the physical part. But as far as, weightlifting and, strength-wise, I believe we're there.
Was that Michigan player right at the time when he said that? And now you're hoping to show you've changed that?
I wouldn't say he was necessarily right, but we didn't put our best foot forward, and we plan to change that.
Cam, Michigan really likes to run the ball. Just as a defensive guy, what's the mindset for you going in when the offense is going to try to come right at you?
I got a tackle, a game tackle, big boy tackle. Go down and make a hit the right way. Getting kicked out the game, for a crazy hit this and there, but just playing good football, man, and leverage tackling. Playing with my teammates, not just, trying to make a big hit here and there because, those don't always work. Leverage tackle, use my teammates, and we all rally to the football.
It seems like Marcus Buford kind of gets thrown out there as maybe like the fourth guy or so. Just what have you seen out of a guy like that who's so young, but he's putting his name in the mix at least?
Most definitely. I joke around about it like that's my son because I feel like he plays like me, man. He's very physical. He's smart. He came in with the right attitude. I took him under my wing when he first came here, just got him the playbook. I was just like, look over this. I gave him the playbook, and he was in Fish office the next day, going over it with him. So, I believe, he gets his feet wet a little bit more. He'll be ready. But that young guy, he's something else, man.
Cam, how's this season gone for you just as a leader? You know, stepping into that title midway through the season, how's that gone? What have you learned?
I've learned a lot, I can say, especially being the leader of this team now, being the captain. It means a lot, and you get looked at a lot for different things, you know, that you may have not got looked at before, and you have to carry yourself differently. And like I say, I wouldn't carry myself differently because I've always, you know, had the leader mentality, but, you know, I focus a lot more on, you know, my technique now and just focusing on, you know, just doing my job to the best of my ability. I say that in a lot of my interviews because that's what it really is. If you see a miscue on defense, it's probably just one thing that goes wrong, and we just come back and fix it, and you don't see it again. So we just try to work on that, and you know, it helps me out because my teammates.
Tim, how do you describe the opportunity that you guys have this week? You know, it's a top 10 team. They climbed into the top 10 with yesterday's bowl being released and getting to play them at home.
Man, it's great, especially with us playing at home, man. It's not the first, you know, team we played that was ranked. It's a lot of hype around the game, but we have to, you know, stay level-headed and get ready to play football because we in Big Ten play now.
Other questions for Cam? Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Ben Stilley next.
Thank you.
Yeah. Questions?
Been asking guys about that 2018 game and just the physical gap that there was at that time. What do you remember about that, your action in that game, maybe how far you guys have come since then physically?
Yeah, I think that was the most physically defeated I've ever felt after a football game in my entire career here. You know, they were really big up front. You know, they ran a lot of gap scheme. They came downhill, and yeah, we were just physically I wasn't personally ready to be in that position yet.
How do you respond to that kind of a realization at that time, knowing that you had a ways to go?
Yeah, it's definitely you know, a piece of humble pie. It's a wake up call. You know, that was my first offseason making the transition from outside linebacker to D line, and just you know, I'd put on a lot of weight, but you know, clearly not enough, wasn't big enough, strong enough. So it was a wake up call for me the next offseason, because really that's when you're going to make that jump again, and you know, just take it on the chin. It's a learning experience, and just to be able to, you know, be hungry that next offseason.
And can you describe how far you've come and how far this team has come physically since that day 3 years ago?
Yeah, you know, we had big guys back then. I think scheme-wise, though, just jumping around back and forth, a lot of it was understanding of the scheme. And you know, if I had a better understanding, if I had today's understanding of the scheme and technique, and I was at that level, you know, the size would have been less of an issue, I think. So really, it's a combination. You know, you can't just be huge, and you still got to have great technique. Doesn't matter how big you are.
And you guys have obviously dealt with the setbacks really well to keep going the way you did and play like you did Saturday. Is there a challenge then, even when dealing with when you're kind of up or positive, or everyone's patting you on the back? Is that a different sort of challenge?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what the longest strung together win streak we've had here in my tenure is, but it's not very many. And so that's clearly something we're focused on. A year ago, that was a problem for us. And so, you know, just having the same focus, the same intensity, same everything, same prep going into the next game after a win, super important.
Today, I guess, were you encouraged by today, or what did you see today out there?
Yeah, practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty big mental day Monday. Obviously, guys still banged up and whatnot from the game. Just getting cleaning stuff up from last game, and then you know, getting the install and stuff in for the next week. But yeah, it was a really solid Monday for us.
You see these young O linemen developing as much as anybody. Could you speak to Nuri and you know, Teddy, sort of how you have seen them grow, and were you surprised that they had their success they did, or not at all?
Yeah, Nuri for sure. You know, he's he's been, you know, fighting. I mean, he's been, I guess, more consistent and level than Teddy, just because Teddy was young and he's still young and he's still learning. And Nuri's got a couple years of just playing experience, right? He started at Colorado State for him. So I think that goes a long ways. And just having that experience, he's as quality of a walk-on as you're going to find for alignment. So that's big for us. And then, yeah, Teddy has obviously just been growing week by week to the point now where they're comfortable enough with him and he's comfortable enough with the scheme to get out there and play.
Then Michigan's going to come in here wanting to run the football. Just as a D lineman, what's the mindset going in when you know there's a pretty good Big Ten team that's going to run around you guys?
Yeah, for sure. You know, that's about how it is every Big Ten game. It's what you signed up for. It's why you came here. So, you know, we're ready for that. You know, I think that'll be definitely on the D-line. It's going to be on both sides up front. It's how it is in Big Ten football. So not much different than any other week.
Have you gotten to look at their O-line yet on film?
Yeah, a little bit. Really big up front. Definitely moving guys. So we're going to have to be really sound in our technique to be playing with them.
Other questions for Ben?
Playing at home at night, I mean, how special was that last week, and what are you expecting now this week for even a bigger game?
Yeah, it's good. You know, we haven't had many of those in my tenure here, and you know, the lead up to the game isn't necessarily fun waiting all day, but it's definitely worth it once you get to the game and the environment. It's obviously different. I mean, anyone can feel that and experience that. It's different than a morning game. It's different than an afternoon game. So just looking forward to it. Looking forward to a big time matchup. You know, that's why we come here to play a ranked opponent like this.
And building off of that, how much fun was Saturday? It just felt a little bit different. I'm sure you'd probably agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, just having success both sides of the ball early. That was a key, obviously, to kind of getting off to a hot start, and you know, seeing the offense succeed, seeing your teammates succeed. That's all this work we put in together, everything we go through. You know, that's why we do it, is to have that success, and there's no better feeling than that.
Is this as good as the second level guys, the backers outside and inside have been playing since you've been here or out there?
Outside and inside backers, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Trying to think who we've had at those positions. I think outside for sure. You know, that's been a lot of the same guys, right? Those guys have been playing for a while here now, Caleb and Garrett. So that was something that just needed to be worked on. You know, they were young, you know, and that's tough, and they were kind of thrown into a position early, and they're playing at an elite level right now. And so that's awesome to see. I mean, I think we've had some solid inside backers, you know, over the past couple of years too. So I'm not going to say it's the best we've ever had, but those guys have also were a part of that too. You know, Reimer's been playing for a couple of years. Nick has been playing for a couple of years now. So they're doing a really solid job. Obviously, those two guys leading the Big Ten in tackles, or at least close to it. So they're making our jobs easy up front.
All good. Thank you, Ben. Question for Austin?
Austin, just been asking guys about the memories from 2018, especially physically. What was it like that day against that Michigan defense, and maybe how far have you guys come physically since then?
Yeah, we've come a long ways. That was obviously early in a lot of things here at Nebraska with this whole Frost era. They handed it to us that day. That's one of the only couple games that when I've been here that truly felt like they were the more physical team. They beat us that day. But you're exactly right. They were a really good football team at that time, and we were young. But there's a lot of things that we learned from that game, and there's a lot of things we've learned since to be able to become the team that we are now. So hopefully it'll be really a game this time.
What can you maybe put your finger on where you guys have really come a long way since then? Is just being stronger, bigger, faster? I don't know. How have you maybe closed that gap since then?
Yeah, just the overall understanding of what we're trying to get accomplished as an offense, as a team. That's come a long ways. I mean, it's hard to push that vision across when the coaching staff gets here. Very first year, it's just kind of more baseline, trying to get an understanding of what you need to get done as an individual position group. So now it's kind of a big picture, big vision. It's where it's come a long way in that regard.
How much have you seen guys kind of embrace that triple option, piece of the puzzle, and how much better have you guys gotten at that, blocking and everything involved?
Yeah, it's a lethal offense when you execute it. It really spreads the field. It really opens up our playbook too. I mean, you can run a lot of things off of it, but people are starting to really love it just because they've seen what it can do in practice. They've seen what it can do versus a Big Ten opponent. So it's something that we're just going to keep harping on. It's going to open up, like I said, it's going to open up a lot of other things too. We can't just live and die on it. I mean, it's obviously worked really well for us, but that's not something we can just run every time. Like it's a big part of our offense, and it's worked so far. So
You guys seem pretty impressed with how Teddy and Nuri handled themselves Saturday. Did you kind of see that they had that mindset throughout the offseason, that if they got plugged in there, they could do it like that?
Yeah, I was very impressed with how they came in and played. I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of skeptical just because there's a new line. Like there's a lot of times you don't get those game reps with those guys, so you never know how it's going to work out. But I think they stepped in there and did awesome. It was kind of weird, not with Benhart in there, because you look over, Benhart's one of the only guys I got to look up to talk to, and it was kind of weird talking to Teddy. He's like, "Oh, you're even taller." So they did great things. It was something that I shouldn't say I was skeptical. They were really good football players, and even in fall camp, I was comfortable with them doing anything in our offense. Nuri's come a long ways. I mean, he played as a true freshman at Colorado State, so he's had a little bit of experience. And Teddy's got experience with Oklahoma, being a tight end, I guess you could call it. But they stepped in there and did really good things, and I'm proud of those guys.
Austin, is that the best you guys edge blocked? How big is it when you guys hit that one key block on the edge to spring some of those runs?
Yeah, I mean, the front line, I think, did a great job at getting the play started, but how plays turn into big plays is how well you can block downfield and at the receiver and tight end and position. And I think our guys did awesome. Frost always tells us you can really dictate how good a team is by how well the receivers block. I mean, because those are the blocks that spring plays for 80. And I'm really proud of how those guys went out and blocked, because I mean when you're setting those harder blocks on the outside and you're running plays for 80, that's really got to open up the game in the future, because I mean those guys are going to have to trigger to the run game harder, and that's going to open up some slips past them and really the deep game. So I'm happy with the way we blocked downfield, and obviously we had really big plays on Saturday, and those are going to be key for this weekend. I mean, we need to have big plays to beat a team like Michigan, because Michigan's, I mean, they're really disciplined. They're a really good football team.
What's the psychological challenge now of keeping this thing going, not getting maybe too high on the performance, and starting to build something up?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest stress to the team this week. I mean, yeah, we kicked the crap out of a Big Ten West team, but so what now? It's in the past. I mean, we won that game. Click the reset button again. Let's win this game. Frost kind of alluded to something today that I really liked, and he said we got 3 2-week seasons left. We got 2 weeks till a bye week, and then we got 2 weeks till another bye week, and 2 weeks. And then what are we going to do to win these 2 games this week before we get to a bye week? That's kind of how I'm going to approach it. But the biggest task at hand is this weekend. I mean, that's the Big Ten championship for me this weekend, and that's how I'm going to treat it. And then the Big Ten championship's going to be next weekend versus Minnesota. That's how I'm going to approach that. But there's a lot of stuff to be learned. There's a lot of stuff to be happy about on what happened on Saturday, but you can't lean on that. I mean, our attention to detail has got to pick up that much more with a team like Michigan.
You guys have had a lot more sort of field flipping type plays this year than the past couple. I mean, I haven't scored a ton of points until last week, but have you seen signs of that explosive offense coming along a little bit?
Yeah, it's always been kind of in the works. There's always kind of been a thing where there's one guy not executing on the edge that would spring a block or spring a play for 80 yards. And I think Saturday was one of the first times that all across the board, we were just executing as an entire offense, and it was cool to see what can actually happen when you get all 11 guys doing the same job. But it's always been something that's in our playbook. I mean, we can spread the field. We can run it down right up the middle. We got that in the offense too. We got to get to that. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff in our playbook that we really haven't scratched the surface yet. I mean, there's stuff that we can do. Frost is a genius in the playbook. So it's there's a lot of stuff we can really get to, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
to some of the guys that you met when you were a kid who played here. Did you ever get a sense from any of them, or what is it? What do those two teams on the same field mean?
Yeah, there's really, it's just another game. Like I got a lot of respect for Michigan and Big Blue, awesome fan base. Like I get it, but this is just another game where we get to face off against a really good team. So I'm not really into the hype of we're playing these guys. Like this is football. I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday.
Did you play in the 2018 Michigan?
I did not.
What do you remember about that game, just in terms of what guys took from it, what it said about where the program was at the time, and how far you guys have come since then?
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. You can read in between the lines, but we just, you got your tails kicked in. So it was a good football team too. Like, let's not sleep on that. So I wasn't there. Not really too concerned with that.
I guess just how far have you guys come physically in your understanding of the schemes since then?
Yeah, I mean, a whole bunch, 2-3+ years since then. So I hope we'd be a lot better. It's nice to have, consistent coordinators on the defensive side of the ball where we know what we're running off season, spring ball. Now we can get into the finer details.
Hey, what kind of advantage can Memorial Stadium provide this week, especially if your defense is playing at the level it has been playing?
Big time. It's all about momentum. Having 90,000 screaming for you, not against you, is definitely an advantage. So everything on the field is going to take care of itself, but like the energy in the whole stadium, it feeds off of itself. So that's going to be big time for us.
You mentioned having the same coordinator. What's Chin's meant to you? And personally, I think like a year and a half ago, we were sitting at one of these round tables, and he was talking about you as a player doing your job and sort of not going rogue as much. Has his challenges and how you guys have fed off each other, what's that?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been given anything here in any way, shape, or form. So that's pushed me to be the best football player and to become a better man. So I owe them everything for that, Kind of like what he was talking about, how people just serve you things on a silver platter. You think you've made it. You think, you've arrived, and that you don't have anything to improve on. But we always have something to improve on. We can always be better. None of us are perfect in life and football. So in that aspect, it's been amazing for me.
What would you like to see improvement-wise from your unit going forward? You've been pretty stingy against the run the last couple of weeks. I mean, what is the next step then?
It's all in between the ears for us. We're plenty talented enough. We know our assignment well enough. It's about being locked into the moment, being present, and knowing your assets and your liabilities to what you're in and where they're going to try to attack you. Like, we can't be blowing coverages, missing tackles, missing gaps. Like, just on defense, like we played a good team and we had a couple of mistakes. We're playing a really good team. Like, we gotta those couple things it's gonna be more. If there's 3 last week, there'll be 6 this week, and we can't afford that. So we just gotta tidy down mentally, be on our P's and Q's.
You guys mentioned on Saturday that they liked having Chenander in the box, help them see stuff better. How did you think that worked out?
I think it's great just talking to him. It's able to him just to be a schematics. He's not really engulfed in the emotion on the sideline. And then Dawson came down, who kind of regulates the emotion on the sideline. So it was honestly a really nice trade-off. I'm enjoying it, and if it's helping us win, I'm all about it.
So far, Michigan's had a really pretty good rushing offense. They're probably going to try to run it right at you guys. Just as a defender, what's going through your mindset of defense when you know that's coming?
Yeah, like, bring it on. We understand that. They got big guys up front. They got talent, skill positions, good coaches. Like, they're a good program. So we're up for the challenge, and we understand what it's going to take from us to be ready to perform at a high level. So that's what this week is about, back to the fundamentals. The talents, your talent is the floor, but your character is the ceiling in any program. So we just got to continue to be doing the right things on and off the field and let the result take care of itself.
Anything else for Gabriel? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hold the room.
That I do.
He's got to receive.
Confirm or not.
All right, questions?
Scott, probably a big storyline of this game is probably going to be you and Harbaugh, since you guys are back at your alma maters and been at it for a while. I know one time Harbaugh was asked about what it was like to coach at his alma mater, and he said it's intense. Now that you've been living it for going on 4 years, I guess, how do you find it?
Probably the same. You know, you want to win everywhere. You probably take it a little more personal, one way or the other at home. Things get a little more personal. You know, there's nowhere where I would probably despise losing more than here. It's harder to handle here, but it's also, I don't know if I'd ever enjoy wins as much somewhere else as I do here.
Scott, when you went back and watched Saturday, I mean, what did you make of the three guys playing in new spots on the line and how they handled that?
I thought it was an improvement. The big thing is we came off the ball better. Our pad level was better. When we can generate run, a lot of other things are going to work. Thought Teddy and Nuri both did a really good job, particularly with that, you know, getting some movement on 3 techniques and 1 techniques and getting runs started. Thought the right side did too, but the left side played really well. Other guys came in and played well. So, you know, I think that the guys have gotten the message, and we need to keep doing that. We got to move people, and runs are hard to generate if you don't get any movement up front.
Is that as well as you guys have blocked on the perimeter too, in terms of?
No, I'm still not completely satisfied with that. We could have had a couple other plays that were a little bigger if we'd have done a little better with that. And you got to be tough everywhere, including outside. That's the mark of a good team.
When Nuri first got here, I think he'd been playing football like 2 years total. But could you see early on that there was something there you could mold?
He has potential. He still has potential. Played pretty well in 1 game, so we got to keep him going and get the rest of the guys to keep improving too. And that's just a starting point.
Yeah, what stands out about that 2018 game against Michigan? And what did you learn about your program at that time, and how much have you guys closed the gap physically?
I guess we'll find out. I thought they had a phenomenal team. I thought they were going to win the league after we went up there. They kicked our butt. We were outmanned, probably nearly every position. We didn't have much of a chance in that one. And they got another good team, I think, very similar to that one. And we get an opportunity to test ourselves against a really good team.
What have you seen from their defense, particularly their 2 defensive ends? Hutchinson looks to be one of the better defensive players in the conference right now.
Yeah, those guys cause havoc. They're hard to block. You know, you go try to block them outside and they'll beat you inside. They're tough to protect against. I think their middle linebacker is really good too. They're good across the board, but those edge guys are the guys that really create problems and plays for them, and we definitely got to have a plan for them.
A couple had mentioned on Saturday that it was helpful to the defense to have Chenander up in the box. How did you guys come to that decision to put him up there?
Oh, he's been up there. I don't know.
They spoke about it as if it was.
When I was a coordinator. No, when I was a coordinator, I needed to be up there to see everything. So there's some coordinators down on the field, but I think it just helps you to get the big picture view.
I know you've said for a while that a number of these players were close, and then on Saturday, when it came to the wide receivers, you did have your full group back. What does having a full group, including Oliver Martin, just do for the offense when they are able to be out on the field?
Yeah, I did feel like we had kind of finally the full group of guys that we need, and we got some good players at every position, so it helps you to have everybody up and available. I thought all those guys played well, and you need weapons in this league, and weapons help us create some big plays, and it's good to have everybody healthy again.
Somebody's well schooled in running the option. How well are you guys running it this year so far?
We're still only about a 6 out of 10, I would say. I think it can be better. You know, we put 1 on the ground, a couple of the blocks here and there. You know, you need to be able to do multiple schemes to run it well, and we've got them. We got to make sure we can run them all well.
Defenses look kind of unprepared. The officials a couple times seem to do that too. Are they not used to seeing pitches out in the open field and thus think that those are forward pitches?
Yeah, I said to one of them, I've never seen a pitch that's even close called for a forward pitch. So hopefully we don't get that call again. But it's hard. I think you got to spend a lot of time on it to do it well, and we've invested some time. I think we've done that because it matches our personnel and who we can be. But it just adds another element, and hopefully defense are having to work on the run game, the pass game, and the option game, and it help us a little bit. But they're smart people in this league, and we'll have to keep improving and tweaking.
How would you evaluate the way Adrian hides and handles the ball on those plays?
He's come a long way. When we first started doing it, it didn't look good at all. He's really gotten comfortable with it. I like it for the fact that it gives us an opportunity to get the ball in his hands without just calling run plays for him. He can avoid hits that way. One of the best things about Saturday, I think he only got tackled a couple times, and keeping him on his feet is a big part of our success going forward.
Scott, you guys are always very good about moving forward after poor performances are not up to standard. How do the guys react to coming off a big win and a high?
Good. I think they see the formula now. They've prepared really well for several weeks in a row. Had one go our way Saturday in a big way. No reason to change anything now.
How much time in the program did it take for Teddy to make you believe that he would be able to handle an assignment like he did Saturday?
I don't know if we were positive before Saturday. The week of practice helped us be positive, but it was time to give him a chance. You don't decide on Monday you're going to run a marathon and run it on Saturday. There's some training that has to be involved. Sam, you know that. You're a marathon runner. Half. Good for you. He's just steadily improved, and we saw a lot of talent early on, like we see with a lot of guys. It's really come pretty fast with him, and I thought he had a good. Again, it's just a start, but I thought he had a good first attempt at it.
Were there characteristics with him even before he got into your program? I know as a 21 signee, you couldn't spend as much time around those guys as really anybody before. But did you know something about him that made you think he was special?
We knew he had the size. He moves better than I anticipated him. He can bend and move and run. You also got to be ready to be kind of mean early on, and that's tough for 18, 19-year-olds to do, particularly in this league. There's grown men in this league. So he's come along probably faster than we thought, but he still has a lot of room to grow, and that was just one game.
What do you think Turner did at the right side first game out?
He did well. A lot of our runs creased behind the left side, and that wasn't intentional. That's just kind of the hash we were on and things that happened. Thought Sickerman played well again. Cam played well again. Turner's got to get used to that over there, but he's got a ton of talent too. So I thought it was a step in the right direction with our line up front, and they're going to have a big challenge this week. These guys are tough to block and tough to move.
I know Yank got a lot of the talk after the game Saturday, but Ramirez had 3 big weeks for you in a row. Just what have you seen out of him, and is he starting to reach that level you wanted running back as far as having the whole package?
Well, the one thing I say about Ramirez, he took the competition seriously. He kept improving. He's running hard. He's running hard between the tackles. He's got speed. He's still got room to grow, and we'll keep letting those guys compete. And obviously, Jock's in that competition now. So sooner or later, one will step forward and be the lead guy. Right now, it's been Ramirez, but we'll keep putting the guy out there that gives us the best chance.
After the 2018 game, Zach DeVold only had about 8 months with the team. The time you guys played that game, now it's 3 years and 8 months. Just from a defensive point of view, nobody really pushes you guys around anymore. I mean, your defensive linemen say as much. What kind of work has DeVold done specifically to maybe get this team to the point where, at least, especially on defense, they just don't get moved easily?
I think that's a physical thing and a mental thing. It's a recruiting thing and a weight room thing. We needed to be bigger, we needed to be stronger, we needed to be faster. We got outmanned pretty bad a few times that first year. You know, we've got some bigger guys with upside athletic ability in here. Zach's gotten them bigger, stronger, Zach and Andrew. The mentality had to change. They needed to be tough and nasty, and we're getting closer to that. So all that should mean you can do better up front in the trenches.
Other questions, guys?
What do you want to see from the stadium, the atmosphere? Obviously, another big game, night game. What kind of advantage could that provide for you guys this weekend?
I mean, I thought Saturday was, you know, other than the Akron game that we had one play, it was probably the best atmosphere I'd seen. Appreciate the fans for that. I imagine this one could be as good or better. So we need noise, we need help. Hope the fans are excited as we are.
Did Dominic Raiola get a chance to talk to guys Saturday?
Talk to me. I've known Dom most of my life. He's one of the greats around here, and there was a lot of former players walking around, so it was good to see everybody. And you know, Dom's one of the Husker greats, so anytime one of those guys come back, love seeing them.
Scott, do you make a big deal about the opportunity here in front of you, another top 10 team, but this time it's on a national stage?
We've been talking about it. Right now, kind of feel like we're down to 3 2-game seasons. We got 2 more games here before a bye week. Got to do the best we can, then we'll rest and recover, and we got 2. Then we get another bye week and rest and recover, and we finish with 2. Still got opportunity to do pretty special things this year, but we got some really good opponents starting with this one. So we got to go compete, and the guys don't have to be told the opportunity that's there for them.
Like playing 8 weeks in a row, or would you have liked to have a bye week somewhere a little bit earlier in there?
You know, I think eight in a row can be a little bit of a grind, but it's not too much. We're in a good spot right now. We're really healthy. Just got to make sure the energy's up, but I don't think the energy will be a problem playing a game like this at home at night. So, again, we got 2 more weeks, and the guys can see the light at the end of the tunnel for a little bit of a break. So we need to pour everything into these 2 weeks.
Scott, when you talk about pad level, that sounds like an easy concept. Why has it been such a challenge?
I don't know if it's a challenge. Just needs to keep improving. Yeah, we're still young on the O-line. Some of those things get learned. You know, we talk about strength conditioning on the D-line. Our guys up front are big and strong and can move. It takes a while to perfect technique as a receiver, as a quarterback. It takes a while to get used to playing as an offensive lineman too. But we always talk about desire to excel and no fear of failure, and it's real easy to get up a little bit higher, make sure you don't completely whiff on somebody, make sure you know who you're blocking, be a little bit hesitant. If you do that, you're not moving guys in this league. So the more comfortable they get, the more familiar they get with what they're doing, the more they can just rip off the ball and try to get us some initial yards.
See you rocking the shirt. What do you think of the Osborne threads?
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm waiting for the Osborne action figures and gas pumps and everything to come out. Bobbleheads. I'm sure he's at home jotting up some drawings and sketches of the new product lines he'll put out. I'm sure he hates this, but half of the money goes to teammates, and my wife and I are proud to support teammates, and I know a lot of people around the state are. So I know he probably doesn't like it, but I'm glad people are able to help Coach Osborne and teammates through this stuff.
Anything else?
Scott.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.